When you think of Texas Roadhouse, what comes to mind? That Willie Nelson ad? The line dancing staff? The fact that the garlic butter they used for their shrimp would be way better on steak? There's a whole lot more to this chain than meets the eye, and here's how you can get the most out of your next visit. Most of the steaks you see on the Texas Roadhouse menu come in preset sizes. The Dallas filet, for example, comes in either 6 or 8 ounces. The reason the chain does this is that, while Texas Roadhouse does hand-cut pretty much all its steaks, staff needs to get in front of their busier periods by pre-cutting most of the meat earlier in the day. So while you'll almost surely get the amount of meat you pay for when you order one of the menu sizes, you probably won't be getting a freshly cut hunk of beef. Luckily, there's a way to get around this issue. If you order an off-menu size, the kitchen cuts it to order right then. You might have to pay a bit extra for the extra work the kitchen staff needs to do, but you will get a super fresh cut. Just make sure you ask your server how much the upcharge is, otherwise you might be in for an unpleasant surprise when the bill comes your way. It's also worth noting that you can't hack every steak on the menu like this. A Redditor who worked at Texas Roadhouse reported that the kitchen doesn't have a bone saw, so those massive 23-ounce porterhouse T-bone steaks actually get to the store pre-cut, and you won't be able to custom order one of a different size. On the bright side, a giant cut of meat like that is already going to be on the pricier side, so at least you won't get an upcharge, and you can still pick out the right T-bone for you from the steak case. Get your calculators out for this next tip. We know you're not going to Texas Roadhouse to do math, at least we hope you're not, but we're just trying to get you the most meat for the meanest amount. Let's take another look at the Dallas filet. The 8-ounce cut could run you over $30. We're not saying this isn't worth it.
It almost melts in your mouth.
But it's not the only way to scratch your filet itch at Texas Roadhouse. Check out the filet medallions. For around $25, you can get 3 of them, which comes to 9 ounces of meat. That's more filet for quite a bit less.
Hang on. Just checking your math on that. Yes. I got the same thing.
For a small upcharge, you can also add another medallion to most menu items. So whether you want to turn that 3 medallion entree into 4, or just want a little chunk of steak alongside some chicken, ribs, or seafood, this is a great way to get a little more protein without emptying your pockets. Unlike fillets and most other steaks, prime rib usually isn't cooked on a grill. Instead, you'll often find it slow cooked in a large roast to a nice medium or medium rare. It's great for fattier cuts, as it really highlights the tenderness of the meat. But the cooking method does have its drawbacks. For one, roasting a prime rib means you don't get a lot of the charring or Maillard reaction you're used to on a steak. So you'll lose out on that delicious crust. But there is a way you can get the best of both worlds. Just ask for the end cut. These obviously come from the ends of the prime rib roast, which tend to get more heat exposure than the tender, pink interior. The superiority of the cut isn't lost on the Texas Roadhouse staff either. One Redditor reports they often store the end cuts separately from the rest of the prime rib for customers that request them. Now, there are only a couple of end cuts per roast, so there's no guarantee you'll get one, especially if you come at a busy time. In that case, just let your server know that you like a crispy exterior, and they might still be able to find you a piece with more charring than usual. No matter which steak you order at Texas Roadhouse, you can be sure you'll get a heaping dose of butter on top of it. It melts quickly over the freshly seared beef, which helps lock in the seasonings and complements the taste. It doesn't hurt that it also makes the steak glisten like a meaty piece of jewelry. Apparently, that's something Texas Roadhouse actually tries to capitalize on. The lights at your tables are specifically designed to make your steaks shine. But if you're craving something more than just a glimmering cut of meat, there are a few ways you can shake up your steak's butter layer. Texas Roadhouse already stocks honey cinnamon butter for its rolls, and you can easily ask to have that brushed onto your steak as well if you like a little sweetness. If you're on a more savory kick, the garlic butter they use for shrimp is a great option to sub in. And if you forget this step next time you place an order, don't freak out. You can always ask for the kitchen to send out a little dish of flavored butter, or get some extra to go. You probably know whether you like your steak rare or well done, but that's just the tip of the iceberg at Texas Roadhouse. Looking at the menu, it's almost overwhelming to see how many different ways you can customize your Texas-themed beef. For just a few extra dollars, you can add blue cheese, sauteed mushrooms and onions, 3 shrimp, or melted cheese to any steak on the menu. And if you really want to splurge, you can combine multiple add-ons for an even more complex flavor combo.
The possibilities are endless.
If you opt for one of the more affordable steaks, this is a great way to get a prime prime meal without paying prime prices. At around $16, the 6-ounce sirloin is one of the least expensive steaks on the menu, but topping it with those sautéed mushrooms and onions or shrimp will quickly turn it into a filling meal with plenty of flavor. And the more it has going on, the less you'll notice that tougher texture that makes it sirloin in the first place. All the classic sides like a baked potato or steak frites are also an option. Hell, you can even get shrimp or ribs as a sidekick. Meat with a side of meat? That sounds like a great time to us. Pulling away from the main course for a second, no Texas Roadhouse meal is complete without an appetizer or two. One of the more popular items is the fried onion cactus blossom. It's delicious as is, but why stop there when you could load it up with chili, pulled pork, or shrimp? Appetizers tend to be cheaper than mains, so this is a great way to get more flavors and textures out of your meal without breaking the bank. And while the cactus blossom's bowl shape makes it a natural choice for loading up with other foods, that's not the only app you can customize. We already know we can smother entrees with all kinds of add-ons, but there's nothing stopping you from doing the same with rattlesnake bites, fried pickles, tater skins, or fries. If you're feeling creative, order something else from the sides menu. Mac and cheese is a pretty versatile option, and combine it with another appetizer yourself. And at a southern-inspired place like Texas Roadhouse, you can pretty much smother anything in chili, and it will come out at least okay. On second thought, Texas Roadhouse's chili deserves its own section in this video. If you like your chili thick and meaty, you're really not going to want to skip out on this classic next time you pay the chain a visit.
It's a pretty classic recipe, phenomenal base, great meat selection because we have our in-house butchers.
And on paper, it really is just a solid take on a standard chili recipe. But the truth is, you won't be able to get anything quite like it anywhere else. While most major chains will probably use a mass-produced ground beef for their chili, a Redditor reports that the meat in Texas Roadhouse's chili comes straight from the trimmings of its steaks. That means you're chowing down on high-quality cuts like filet and ribeye with delicious seasonings and beans for just a few dollars. It's good enough to be a main course on its own, especially if you load it with cheese or diced red onions. And if you like a creamier chili, you can always throw a little Texas Roadhouse ranch in the mix. As an added bonus, it reheats a lot better than a chunk of steak, so it also makes for a great leftover the next day. Aside from its steaks and chili, Texas Roadhouse is famous for one more item, the rolls. Sure, serving bread to diners isn't exactly a revolutionary practice, but there's just something about the soft, buttery buns at Texas Roadhouse that sets them apart from any other chains. As soon as you sit down, you'll probably be greeted with a fresh basket and a side of whipped cinnamon honey butter. But why stop there? Once that first basket runs out, don't hesitate to ask for a refill. The staff gets it. Some servers will bring out more without even being asked, and you can ask for as many helpings as you want. We'd even recommend taking a few home with you at the end of the meal. If you have leftover meat, they're great for steak sandwiches, and they're also a killer base for French toast. Along with those delicious golden rolls, most meals at Texas Roadhouse also start with peanuts. Depending on the location, when you first arrive at Texas Roadhouse, your server will bring a bag of peanuts to your table to enjoy with your meal. In the Texas Roadhouse days of old, each table had its own bucket of peanuts, and you could just toss the shells on the floor. But due to growing concerns about allergies and germs, the buckets are out and the bags are in. And because of that change, servers don't always hand out the bags unprompted, but they're not gone for good. You just have to ask for them. Similarly, peanuts aren't on the online menu, so you may need to make a special request for them if you call in a delivery order or stop in to grab a pickup order. On the flip side, if you have a peanut allergy, be sure to let your server know as soon as possible so they can keep the nuts away from your table. But since peanuts are such a big part of the brand, odds are there's still peanut dust on a lot of the surfaces at Texas Roadhouse, so take extra care if you have a severe allergy. Between the nuts, the rolls, the meats, the starches, the cheese, the fried sides, and the baked sides, you get a whole lot of savory goodness when you visit a Texas Roadhouse. So what better way to cap off your meal than with something sweet? Admittedly, the dessert menu is pretty small, limited to just apple pie, brownie a la mode, and strawberry cheesecake. But what it lacks in options, it makes up for in portions. You could easily split any of those desserts with someone else, and 2 or more would be great for a whole family. And if you want something simpler, Texas Roadhouse stocks a whole lot of vanilla ice cream, since it's served on both the apple pie and the brownie. And while a bowl of ice cream isn't technically on the menu, a lot of locations will serve you some if you ask for it. Just make sure you check on the price before you place your order.